The following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. It's your midweek fix for racing news and information. Brought to you by the Championship Racing Network. Now let's head trackside to join your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson.
Welcome into the latest edition of Crossed Flags. I am Steve West. That is Matt Nicholson. Of course, producer John behind the scenes, making sure that we're up and running on many of the different places that you can find us. Producer Molly helping us out with that. And there are now many places where you can find us. CRN Live on YouTube. You can go to Jocks FM TV on YouTube. You can go to Real Talk 99.5 TV on YouTube. And if you're just looking for the audio side of it, we have that as well. And that is available via producer John on Spotify. You can download us and take us anywhere you are going, for example, in a car. Pretty cool, huh? There are plenty of things that we could talk about. Almost all of it, 99% of it, we're going to leave until the big show this weekend. For example, the buyout and what they would call the severance package that Christian Horner and Red Bull came up with to officially allow him to be gone from Red Bull. It's a not insignificant amount, and it also has a nice little rider about when he can come back into it. He'll have a little, as they put it in European terms, gardening period. But we'll deal with all that on Sunday. Right now, what I want to deal with is what happened last Sunday in New Hampshire in the Cup Series race. Keep in mind that what we're about to talk about happened about a third of the way into the race. New Hampshire's 1 mile long, 301 lap, 301 mile race on Sunday. And right around lap number 100, 3 of the 4 Joe Gibbs racing cars got to racing together. In the order that we're going to show you pictures of here in a moment, it was Ty Gibbs, the man whose name presumably is over the door. Yeah, I get it, it's Joe, but still, it's the last name we're talking about. Denny Hamlin, and Christopher Bell. One of these things is not like the other, Matt. One of them is not a playoff contender. One of them didn't even qualify in the 16, much less get bounced out in the round of 16. Talking about Ty Gibbs, who is, 120, 25 races into his Cup Series career by this point in time?
Give or take, yeah.
One would think that he would have figured this out by now, but apparently he hasn't. His 2 teammates are being held up by him. At about lap 100, Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell started catching the 54 of Ty Gibbs, and they kept getting impeded by Ty Gibbs because Ty wouldn't let him go, despite the fact that it did seem like both Denny and Christopher were, shall we call it, significantly quicker than what Ty Gibbs was doing. Denny Hamlin got to talking about this yesterday, and we're going to show you these pictures. This is a straight screenshot from the USA Network, the cable network that had the coverage of last Sunday's race. Top picture shows where we are already into turn 1, and you can tell by Denny Hamlin's hands in the lower picture there, him in the blue, of where he's still going around the curve, just like you would expect with the steering wheel tilted to the left.
Right.
But here's Ty Gibbs. He's already counter steering because he's been bumped. I can only imagine what is going through Christopher Bell's mind at this particular point in time, because now he sees where his teammate is getting spun out by another one of his teammates. And, oh, by the way, I'm in the outside lane. What was the Bill Cosby phrase? First you say it and then you do it. Hopefully he was not doing something that we choose not to say here on this particular podcast.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Now, Denny Hamlin talked about this on his own podcast, Actions Detrimental. And I'm going to read what he said. He said he felt that Ty Gibbs was racing too hard too early. Noted that just last year, Joe Gibbs talked to the 4 drivers on the team. Keep in mind, Chase Briscoe wasn't on the team at that point in time. That was Martin Truex Jr. He was about ready to step out and allow Chase Briscoe to come in. So Chase hadn't been involved in this, but Chase also isn't involved in this. As you can tell, there's only the 3 of them in the picture. Briscoe in the 19 car isn't on it. And told the ones that were not racing for the championship to give those who are a break. quote, whenever reasonably possible, unquote, Joe Gibbs said. And apparently, according to Denny, some people on that team need to hear that again. And let's face it, we all know who he's talking about. If you're going to get held up for 10 laps by your own teammate and you're faster and you're in the playoffs, that's not exactly team playing.
It's not. No. I mean, Denny, he's got, I see Denny's point, because him and Bell were faster than the 54. The line that the 54 was taking going into the corners, it was basically a defensive line, and he was really in a way holding them up. So
for what
I
purpose?
can see Denny's point.
I get it, but for what purpose is he holding him up? It doesn't make sense. You're 1/3 of the way into the race, and there's, even if it's not a teammate, let's put you and I in this particular situation and say that you and I are running for competing teams. I'm running for Team ABC. You're running for Team XYZ.
Sure.
You and I may indeed are friends. We're friends on and off the track. But the thing about it is, we're both in the playoffs. We're both in competing teams. It's lap number 300 or lap number 100 of a 301 lap race. If I know that you're significantly faster than me, doesn't it benefit me to get the heck out of your way and maybe build up a little bit of goodwill to the point where a little bit later on in the race, if I happen to be significantly faster than you, maybe you give me the same treatment in return?
You could put it that way, yeah. It's more of in a way, it's more like the gentleman's agreement. If you know that a car that is around you is considerably faster than you, and it's at a point to where it's not going to hurt, nor it's not going to hurt either one of you at that stage of the race. Excuse me. Lay over and let them go when you're that early in the race. There's no harm, no foul in doing that. It's not like it was like 5 to go and you're fighting for the win.
Right.
Totally different story there. But being a little over lap 100 of a 300 lap race, that gentleman's agreement should kick into play and not use a defensive line driving in low and drifting right up, or however you driving in, whichever way maybe driving in, to where it's impeding the much, much faster car behind you that is competing for the championship, and you're not.
Especially when we're talking about teammates as well, because if we were then to put ourselves both on Team ABC, I mean, if I'm fast enough to the point where you're not really catching me, or you're catching me slowly, and you and I can both progress, I think both you and I and our team owner would understand, okay, he's not going to let Matt pass yet. We're going to wait until Matt gets up there. In the meantime, both of them are making progress. But if you're in the playoffs and I'm not in the playoffs, and I'm actually going to be, we'll use the term, blocking you from being able to advance, it behooves me and it behooves the team, and it certainly behooves you for me to get the heck out of the way, because your playoff chances get amplified that much more.
It does.
Joe Gibbs was caught up to after the race by media and told the folks at NBC Sports, USA was covering it, quote, "Those guys are the ones driving the cars, so those guys will get together on their own and figure it out." So apparently Joe Gibbs doesn't have any intention upon getting in the middle of this? Or is that just a smokescreen? And during the competition meeting that happened presumably yesterday, as we record this live on a Tuesday, do you think that he stepped in and said something?
I'm sure he probably did, to the effect of, let's tone it down, let's stop wrecking race cars because we get angry around each other, and let's race each other straight up. Probably something close to that nature, but he very likely took a very hands-off approach and let them handle it and let them settle it on their own, because they're, like you said, they're the ones driving the cars. He's not.
Okay, so you're going to take the coach at his word that he said, okay, I'm going to let you guys have at it.
Sure. Yep.
And the reason I ask that is because, again, I think about this situation. I don't know what might have been able to happen later on in the race. We all know, the basic finish of the whole situation and the fact that Ty Gibbs was taken out of this race. He finished dead last on the day. He might have been able to actually, these guys were right in and around top 10. I want to say this was a position battle for 10th at the time, if I remember.
Like that, yeah.
So presumably all three of them, and Chase Briscoe, as we find out in the final rundown, he was 10th place when the checkered flag flew. So all four Joe Gibbs Racing cars were apparently top 10 potential cars. But this situation knocks one of them out and has it finish 38th. That doesn't help Joe Gibbs Racing at all. It certainly doesn't help Ty Gibbs. But as I was talking about earlier, he's about 125 laps, 125 races into his Cup Series career. And in comparison to Chase Briscoe, in comparison to Christopher Bell, and especially in comparison to the guy who's turning him around, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell hasn't done a thing.
He's just right there riding, going, don't wreck, don't wreck, don't wreck, don't wreck, don't take me out inadvertently.
So putting you in the place of Joe Gibbs and looking at the number 54 car, if that's not your grandson and Ty's last name is, we'll just throw out one of the most common last names in the English language, Smith, how short of a rope does he have at this point in time? Or is he already got one foot out the door?
That's hard to say. If his name is completely different,
and he's not a relationship to you at all,
yet he's no relation, I would have to say he has 1 foot out the door for sure. Because he's had more than ample opportunity in that car out of the team that it's out of. He's had more than ample opportunity to take checkered flags, and he hasn't.
And on top of that, we have seen Christopher Bell very, very camera ready. Chase Briscoe, very camera ready. Denny Hamlin, I wouldn't necessarily say is camera ready. Denny Hamlin's walking around with a Mount Everest-sized chip on his shoulder and has been ever since this whole thing with NASCAR began over a year ago. But at the same time, he's never been shy to give an interview. He's never been shy about his opinions on his podcast, Actions Detrimental. On the other hand, Ty Gibbs was known last year as saying, I don't like getting a microphone shoved in my face. And when he was asked about it after the race, all he said was, I'm just looking forward to getting onto the track next week. And that was it.
And that was heat of the moment sarcasm coming out right there and trying to not get in trouble with media and say something he didn't need to say on a camera.
I get that to a certain extent, but when does the patience with the sponsor run out in that case? Because shouldn't he be out there trying to help tout the sponsor as well and make the sponsor look good?
He should, but as tight as he is with Monster Energy and what he has been for his entire career nearly, I don't think that there's a major problem there with that. Because ever since he started through ARCA all the way up through, he has predominantly been Monster Energy.
Ty Gibbs is now 22 years old. Does he seem to be acting and racing like a 22-year-old to you, or is there it or not? I guess it's probably just the bet. Let's just do it straight up. Is he acting like a 22-year-old kid or not? And I use the term kid loosely.
In a lot of ways, yes.
Okay. In what ways is he not, and is it worse or better?
The ways that he's not is, well, he's acting more like the 22-year-old outside of the car than he is inside of the car, if that's a fair way for me to put it.
I can go with that.
Because when you get inside one of those cars, you have to, what's the right way for me to say it here? You have to square up. You have to throw them shoulders out, throw them elbows up, and you got to square up and drive it like a grown, you know what, man or woman,
sure,
or woman.
okay.
You got to square up and drive it, because as we all have seen, if you're not, you make one wrong move, you could blink your eyes and not be here.
Yeah. I mean, to his credit, he is a championship winner in the Xfinity series. But how much of that is attributable to his talent? Yes, raw talent might be the better way of putting it. How much of that is attributed to his raw talent and the fact that the equipment was just light years above and beyond seemingly everybody else's at the time?
Well, I'll say this. I'll even go back as far down as the ARCA.
Okay.
Because, and I had direct knowledge of this, because the amount of funding, let's word it that way, that was getting shoveled into that 18 car versus the funding that were going into other cars, it was probably on a scale of, I'm going to say probably 4-1.
So they were giving him the level best equipment that they could possibly give him.
They were essentially throwing a de facto Cup car on the track with Cup technology. Is why that 18 car was so fast on any given weekend in ARCA race.
And now, as he steps up through, obviously competition gets better, but he still was able to do what he was able to do in the Xfinity series. Now that whole thing gets wiped out because you're with the best of the best in stock car racing here, amongst the best drivers in the world when you're on the track. And we'll use the number of cars that were in the race last Sunday in New Hampshire against 37 other guys who have at least as much talent as you, if not more.
Right.
And in the vast majority of their cases, much more polished talent than you.
Absolutely. I mean, there was one, and I'm a big proponent of this. There was one pretty big phase of the ladder that he leapfrogged, going straight from ARCA to Xfinity.
Mm-hmm.
Trucks, you can refine and hone your talents really well there by how the design of it is, how the design of the truck is, and how the trucks drive. You can really hone and refine your talents there, because you went from, in a way, you went to just a little bit shorter wheelbase car, but from ARCA to Xfinity, which car drives completely different, and a much higher horsepower car. But the equipment, and I know this for a fact, JGR and combined with Toyota, we'll just say that, they spare absolute zero expense when putting equipment on the racetrack. They spare none.
Agreed.
And it shows.
So you're saying Ty Gibbs would have benefited from a year, maybe even 2 at the Truck Series level before even going to Xfinity, much less to the Cup Series?
I think it would have made him that much better.
Okay. And that's part of the reason why he has yet to claim a win in 125 races yet?
To a degree, yes.
Part of the reason, anyway. I get it. It's going to be interesting to see how this gets played out throughout the rest of these playoffs here, because we still have, obviously, 2 more rounds.
Right.
And how much Denny Hamlin... How far Denny Hamlin goes. I know in the predictions, I have him bowing out pretty quick. It's simply because I don't trust Denny Hamlin. Whether it's Hamlin making a mistake at some point in time during the playoffs that submarines him, or whether it's something that happens on pit road that submarines him, I just don't have enough faith in the 11 team to put together those 10 races enough to make it work.
Right.
God forbid if Denny Hamlin does end up getting bounced out of the playoffs, what this could end up doing between him and Ty Gibbs, because it really looks like Denny Hamlin has no patience for Ty Gibbs anymore. And like I said earlier, the man's got a massive chip on his shoulder already, I'm not so certain he cares that he just signed a 2-year extension to his deal. He might just be willing to go out in a blaze of glory, so to speak.
Very well could be. I mean, it very well could be, because he's one of the more mysterious people to read. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and if he ends up getting ruled against when it comes to this lawsuit, and they don't have charters anymore, 2311, what does he care at that point in time? What are you going to do? Fire me? Wow, I'm out of NASCAR. Doesn't matter to me. I'm already out anyway. Because what he was planning on doing after his driving career, which has only got a couple more years left in it anyway, tops, that was his future plan. That was what he was going to do, and it's gone. It's taken away. So, yeah, what has he got to lose? What are you going to do? Fire me? I don't care. This could end up being a massive subplot to the rest of these Cup Series playoffs.
It could be, but I don't think it could be, but I don't think it's going to be.
I know that's a worst case scenario, but at the same point in time, if Denny Hamlin gets a wild hair up, where, I'm not going to put anything past him at this point in time.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, should be interesting to watch as they head to Kansas this weekend. And don't forget that Denny Hamlin has to deal with the fact that 2 of his regular pit crew members, started 2-race suspension because of what happened in the round of 16. So that might add something to it as well. Again, we'll talk about this a little bit more and kind of maybe go over some of the ramifications that may come to light throughout the rest of the weekend, or the rest of this week. And as we get into it, don't forget, we'll talk about the Christian Horner massive settlement agreement with Red Bull, and exactly when it is that he's going to be able to start working in Formula One again, should anybody want him, and all the other news that's out there as well. So hope you join us this Saturday morning, regular time, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time. You can catch us again on CRN Live on YouTube, or look for us if you happen to be in Alabama in the east central part of the state on 95.1 The Mountain, the flagship radio station. Hope you join us then. And on behalf of producers Molly and John and my co-host Matt Nicholson, I'm Steve West. Thank you for checking out this edition of Crossed Flags.
You've been listening to Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. For more content like this, subscribe to CRN Live on YouTube, and you'll be set to catch the 2-hour live show every Saturday morning at 9 Eastern, 8 Central.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.